Oh, it's Facebook changing
just
stuff up
changes
on us.
Stuff.
Just
It's
always
so funny.
shaking it up.
Like every dang time we log on.
Mark Zuckerberg, we love you. Thanks for changing Facebook every week.
Well, hello, everybody. It looks like everybody's up
There
now.
we go.
We got all of our feeds going, all 5 of you. So welcome, everybody, to Monday Night Live.
Yes, the best night of the week.
The lovely Kate Simmons. I'm Dean Nixon with TurningLeaf Health and Wellness in beautiful St. George, Utah. We're super excited to be joining you today and talking about our life coaching topics and the things that we have been helping people with throughout the week, as well as topics that hopefully are helping move you forward in your lives, and that you're finding ways to implement some of these tools and pieces into your life. So as always, we've got wonderful things that are going on. Kate, your
my soul discovery
program is really just going well, and I'm getting a lot of wonderful feedback. So many people are just can't stop talking about how cool it is, and I love listening to everything that they're getting from it. So well done.
It's really incredible because we're just over halfway. It's an 8-week experience, right? And hang on, let me get rid of that spam call that was just coming in. Which is just amazing. Like you get on the start side of something and it just feels like kind of this big long thing, especially when you put 8 whole weeks of intention into something. That's quite a while to be focused and working on something. And now we're already on the back side of it. And it's just been very, very cool. Everyone that's in it is working so hard and creating some incredible awareness and change in their life. It's just been beautiful to watch.
That's cool.
Yes.
Yep.
So guys, when Dean was doing our little intro, I just wanted to remind you that if you do have a topic or something that you would like us to talk about, just like DM us, message us, call in. We would love to hear it. We're always like, hey, what are we talking about? And we kind of open our hearts to what's been going on socially on our planet and or the things that we've been experiencing in our own life and to bring it to you. But we would love to be able to tailor make topics for you. Of course, it would be anonymous. So if you're like, oh, I would love to hear this, but I wouldn't want to be outed by Kate.
I've been there, people.
Dean feels your pain. But know that it would be anonymous and we would just bring the topic of conversation. And if it was your topic, then you could feel warm in your heart that you were seen and that we would want to talk about your topic. So we would love to have any interaction with you that is that way. So should we lean into today's topic?
I would love that.
Okay, perfect. So in our little discussion, as we've been setting up all of the cameras and kind of opening up our heart into the space of what it is that we could bring to you guys, we thought it might be really cool to have a conversation around resistance, about what happens inside us and outside of us, I guess, too. We could get into that place when we're working towards something and all of a sudden we feel the resistance of it, when things start to feel like, I know sometimes the language that comes across in my office is that like feels like I'm just really moving uphill and I'm not making any progress with the things that I'm doing, or we get fear that comes in and all of a sudden we get some resistance there. So today we just want to talk about why resistance even happens and how we can make it through it, right?
Yeah. So resistance is such an interesting thing. Resistance is an important piece for us to pay attention to because resistance within us is where our opportunities for growth come from. So a lot of times we'll get resistance to things, as Kate, as you were talking about, where we're really working on something. Say, for example, people working in the soul discovery, and they hit a piece that may feel a little bit uncomfortable, or it may feel a little bit challenging. So there's a level of resistance that really starts to surface. And there's a lot of ways that can express itself. It can express itself by wanting to shut down. It may present itself by wanting to over control something or needing to disconnect from it and finding ways to find some disconnect either through media or food or other ways to avoid. But the interesting thing is if we really slow down and we pause, if we really slow down and we lean in and recognize that this resistance is really a flag being planted within us as to where the work really is.
Yes. I love to think of it as we've come to an edge, right? We've come to the edge of an experience inside of ourselves, and everything beyond that edge is really unknown, right? This is where, like, I feel like, not always, but I think oftentimes resistance comes in when we've got some fear that's going on, right? Like we've come up to, I love that you said, planted a flag. This is as far as I'm comfortable going right now. But what I want is on the other side of that, right? And we've talked a lot with you guys about creating things that you want and being able to, like, have focus and hold your vision, right? So we get to the point in whatever it is that we're working towards, and we've reached that cusp. And so often it feels really easy to just abandon it into our comfort zone, right? So then we just retreat and we go back to where it is that we're comfortable. And then all of a sudden we're in discomfort because we're just doing the same thing, hanging with the same people, experiencing the same relationships, not moving our life forward. And we move forward and we hit the cusp again, right? We meet that flag, and all of a sudden, some of us in our life, we do this cycle a lot. We run up into the resistance, and then we retreat back into our comfort, and then we want to grow and move forward. And so it's just this process that sometimes I call it the spiral. For me, it's usually a downward spiral that happens in my experience. And so really our quest today is to talk about some ways to be able to move into that discomfort. And Dean, I love how you've already spoken, and we've said this a lot on our lives, but the way to do it is just to lean, right? Not to take a giant step into that unknown, but a small one.
Yeah. And understanding that, once that flag is planted, or the cusp, as you put it, and we know where the ledge is that we need to take that risk and jump. And a lot of the fear, and this is the key to all of it, is it's really fear-based and fear-driven. And we really have gotten to a point in our lives as human beings, we get to a point where we are uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. And we've talked about this so many years now. Being uncomfortable, and we don't want to be uncomfortable. And so we have to learn to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. But prior to that, it's all about, how do I stay safe? Now, a lot of this is because that discomfort has occurred. Now, sometimes people will ask me, well, is it because something traumatic happened to me? Is that why I'm resistant? Is it because there's some deep, dark thing that happened in my childhood that I'm unaware of? And the reality is, most of the time, no. Most of the time, it's because it's a learned behavior or a reaction to this feeling of fear. And it's usually that first time when something happens, and I see this a lot with parents, when a child needs to confront something, but maybe the parent rescues them at the last minute. So then the child doesn't develop the emotional callus, so to speak, that needs to be there for the child to be able to tolerate that emotional discomfort. So then when the opportunity comes again for them to experience it, somehow they get rescued once again, either by an individual or themselves. And again, the lack of that callus, that emotional callus is there. So pretty soon we get into this habit. And it just becomes this pattern in life where we, over time, consistently, because we haven't developed the emotional callus that we need, any type of feeling that feels or senses that it's similar to be, wow, I'm going to be uncomfortable, or this could hurt, or I may not know what to say, or I may not know what to do, or what if this happens, or what if that happens. And because of that lack of confidence, that lack of emotional callus, we're going to default to avoidance, and we're going to feel a resistance. Now, this is a part that I know I've noticed a lot in my work with people, and I am assuming you as well, is there's a lot of times people will say, well, my gut tells me not to do it. And it's like, well, is it your gut? Or is it your fear?
Right.
And that's where we come in, is to really help you decipher between, is this your gut telling you not to do it? Or is this your fear? We call it discernment in our work. But is this your discernment saying, hey, no, this is not healthy for me, I need to back off? Or is this you're just scared, or you've created patterns of resistance? And so you plant those flags that we talk about. They're the emotional indicators that we've kind of planted around us. And so as we're going down the path, when we start to sense that out of the corner of our eye, we just start to veer away. And it's sad because a lot of times that's where our opportunities are.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of times that's the undiscovered country where riches and emotional growth really lie. But because of that knee-jerk reaction, because of that programming, we just steer away from the cusp. And we veer off because we start to sense that discomfort.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you brought in that oftentimes that emotional discomfort, it's hard for us to decipher what it is that we're actually feeling, right? Like you were saying, like anxiety, excitement, worry, uncertainty, all these things can feel the same, right? Like an excitement is like usually a good thing, right? Versus anxiety that's usually like, lots of fear, right?
Right.
And so we get to that place. I love that you brought that in, Dean, of like, hey, is this my gut feeling telling me that this is not great for me anymore? So then it gives me permission to abandon that direction that I was going in, that I'm starting to feel this discomfort. Or is it fear? And chances are, ladies and gents, that if you're heading down a path of growth that's going to progress you forward and move you forward, your discernment is going to want you to stay moving that direction.
Right.
So we can, if that is that direction for you, granted, if it's something else, it's going to not grow you and progress you, then that gut feeling of like, oh, maybe this isn't right for me could come into play, and we can have conversations about that, right? But if you're moving yourself forward in your life in a positive, healthy motion, then most likely that flag that you've reached are those emotional places where we said, oh, this is not safe, or I feel a little bit scared over here, or I don't really know how to navigate this over here.
Right.
And I love how you brought in, because I've been rescued from that my whole life.
In one form or fashion. Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't really been able to make sure that I can move myself past that point safely.
Right.
And so I have that resistance that comes in, when really, if you look at it honestly and are able to say, okay, this is what's going on, and put in your heart either all of your spaces of fortification to know that you're safe enough to take just the next step and then to see what happens, or to get your team of healthy individuals in your life to rally around you to help you, not rescue you, but be with you as you move forward, right?
Right.
So that you can, I know that's important for me.
Yes.
To have people to just bounce things off and be like, okay, I feel like this is really a good direction for me to go. Here's all the places that I'm scared.
Right.
Right. And just in my women's group, we talk about just getting the monster outside of our head. So it's now just this tiny little dragon on the floor instead of this giant expression inside of us. So I do feel like, I guess I'm coming in and helping my inner child right now. I'm going to be real honest, because sometimes I just need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
Being brave to step past that flag, right? To move over the top of that mountain that's going to give me more view. And that's the cool part, you guys. Once you can push through that discomfort and push through that uncertainty, then you get a better view. It doesn't last long.
Right.
Once you can push through.
Right.
And I bet you have places in your life where you can look back and or sink into your heart to feel how true that statement is. That if I can just push through that resistance or push through the fear and the discomfort, then it gives me a new vantage point. And all of a sudden, I've got more courage, right? I have more confidence to be able to accomplish the next part in my journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's momentary, but we have to be able to get into the place where we can push through it in order to move on, instead of looping back around in that avoidance space.
Yes. Yeah. And I think another piece of this equation is we have to really get clear on emotional discomfort not being an indicator that something's wrong or bad.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times as we start to challenge these things, as you talked about, and we start to find that ledge, or we find that flag, and we know I have to step forward, there's a lot of fear there. There's a lot of fear, and in us, we have equated this fear and this discomfort in our lives because we've been hurt, because we've had human experiences. And the other part is we judge ourselves so harshly because we're always looking at other people and we're seeing how they just seem to effortlessly flow through life. They effortlessly have wonderful relationships with everybody. They create whatever they want to create. They do whatever they want to do, and they just move through it. And the reality is that no, you're not seeing. You're only seeing 10%. It's the iceberg concept.
Yep.
You're only seeing 10%. You're only seeing the expression of all of the toil and labor that led them to this moment. And it doesn't mean that it's easier. It doesn't mean that they're not uncomfortable. It doesn't mean that just because they're making it look flawless doesn't mean that it's not a challenge.
Yes.
But we judge ourselves so harshly. And I love that quote out there that somebody coined that said, we take the best of others and compare it to the worst of ourselves. And we somehow decide and believe that that's going to be equitable. So I want to challenge us that as we are looking for that resistance, as we do find that resistance, don't judge it. Look at it, and go, okay, yeah, I feel scared, or I don't trust this, or I feel inadequate, or I feel, and like you said, this is a really good time to lean into your tribe and to lean into your people if you need clarity, not enabling, not rescuing, but clarity. And that's what's so important, is to get that clarity from people that have both feet on the ground at the moment. The worst thing you want to do is turn to a drowning person and say, hey, I think I'm drowning. And
is this what drowning is?
I think I'm
Am
drowning.
I doing this wrong?
Will you help me?
Yeah.
And I see that happen a lot, where a lot of times when we get into these predicaments, we're not drowning the people that have both feet on the ground and on the shore. We turn to the person with us that's drowning with us to try and create clarity and create some type of stability. And then we feel crazy because we're both drowning, but yet we shouldn't be drowning. And we're both telling each other we're not drowning, but the reality is we're drowning. And so we have to really find those people that can really help. And when we're in those places, we can create clarity.
Yes, I love that. And I love that you brought in that inaccurate lens as well, that we like to view things through. I don't even know if like is the right word there. It's just what we do. Like, it's just our conditioning a little bit. We probably hate it, not necessarily like it.
Right.
And so that would be a really cool anchor, I feel like, when we're in those moments, to really ground into the fact that it's a normal human experience, that there's nothing wrong or bad with reaching your emotional flag, reaching that edge, reaching that cusp.
Right.
That looking at as an opportunity.
Right.
And that it's normal, like to totally normalize it for yourself in your human experience. Like, it would be abnormal to move your way through life completely and never do that.
Right.
Well, and I guess maybe what came into my heart after that was, it would be sad. I think that is a sad expression of life, to move through it and to never get to a place where you were able to feel resistance and challenge it and move forward as a champion in your own life.
Right.
That would be a life that you look back on and said, oh, wow, look at all these places that I missed that would have been incredible for me to experience.
Amen.
Did I clarify that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's okay to, and I like that you were kind of leading to this, and this is where my mind went when you said it, is it's okay to take a knee. Like when you get to that space and you need a minute before you jump, it's okay to take a knee for a minute. It's okay to take a beat and take a breath and really tune in and really ground yourself before you really lean in or really push through. And that's an important piece too, is Kate's always talking about, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
You've got to always give yourself grace and give yourself the ability to be a human being that's experiencing these things. And it's not a one and done. And people, please, we've got to get to a point in our lives where we think there's an arrival point. And I see it like all the time. People will even tell me that they know that it's never going to be that way, but yet they lived it like it's going to be that way. And it's never. This is the journey. This is the process. So as hard as it is at times, this is life. And we have to just live that life, and as we talk about in the book, the key, it's like you're going to either focus on that burr under your saddle or you're going to getting on. And at some point, you've got to getting on and recognize that this is the way life is. You can do it. You're amazing. You're powerful.
Yes.
You're powerful more than you think you are. And that I can tell you for an assurity, you just have to have all the pieces and all the gumption and the fire in your belly and the willingness to lean in and the willingness to be human.
Absolutely. And right at 20 minutes, I don't think that there's anything more that we could say. I thought that was the perfect cherry on top, Dean.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So as always, we love you guys. Take this topic of conversation to your dinner tables, to your water coolers. Gosh, it would be so cool if I could have learned at 14 or 15 that discomfort is a normal part of life. And then it's just showing us where we have an opportunity to create something incredible in our life and how to lean into it and push forward, and knowing that we're not bad or wrong and that it's normal and all of these things. So take it to those kids that you know, take it to your coworkers and all of the places. And as always, we will see you next Monday with another hot topic covered by Dean and myself on Monday Night Live. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Oh, hang, just top. Perfect.
It's right up at the top.
Is it the X?
Yeah, it's the X right there.